today, I'm gonna tell you all about the Tour de France. It is an extra awesome day off today. Blow up, like basically fall off their bike. Morning, Trainiacs. It's a good 1,700 meters done. Body's starting to feel a little bit better recovered from the long swim. Now today, oddly enough, is Monday, but it's a day off because it's our July long weekend up here in Canada. It is an extra awesome day off today because the Tour de France is on. Le Tour! Vive le Tour! So despite what you might think from the last few months of being swimming, Taren, cycling is one of my favorite. I think it might be I don't know, they're all my favorite. Cycling bikes are like just as much fun as an adult as it was when you're a kid. And you know what? The longer you go in triathlon, like literally the longer your distance is in triathlon, the more it's a bike race. And there's also more that you can get out of the bike because your improvement on the bike can be so much more than the time improvement that you can get from a swim or the time improvement that you can get from a run. So getting to know and love bikes and hence know and love the Tour, very important for a triathlete. Dogs! And would you look at that? The Tour.
Jersey for the points classification.
Alright, Trainiacs, if you aren't into watching the Tour de France, you really need to reassess your priorities in life. July is the best time of the year. You've got an entire month of awesome, like just well broadcast, well put together, well story told. It's like the best background TV around. Granted, Le Tour is a little bit complicated to get into, but once you get into it, there's so much more that goes on than just riding a bike. There's a lot of dynamics, there's a lot of personalities, there's a lot of people that you can root for, things that you can enjoy and appreciate that you don't see when you just tune in for a few minutes and then you're like, yeah, you know what, this isn't for me. So today, I'm gonna tell you all about the Tour de France. So this is the 104th Tour de France, goes from July 1st to July 23rd, and in that time there are 21 stages and 2 rest days. There are 22 teams, 198 riders, and they cover 3,540 kilometers, 2,200 miles. I did that first try, holy smokes. Now every single day is like a race within the race. There are winners of each day, and those are called stages. This year there's 2 individual time trials, there's no team time trial. There are 8 flat stages and 11 hilly or mountainous stages or summit finishes. When you get to the top, you hit the summit, that's where the race finishes. The time trials can last anywhere between about 20 minutes and 60 or 70 minutes, but the main stages around 4 to 6 or 7 hours. Now there are 6 awards that are available in addition to winning each day. The yellow jersey, this is the big kahuna. This is the overall winner of the Tour de France, and it's called the general classification. This goes to the fastest rider over all of the combined stages, and you have to finish every single stage. Because 11 of the 21 stages are hilly stages, the general classification typically goes to light climbing riders. People like Chris Froome, Alejandro Valverde, who is unfortunately out, Alberto Contador, Richie Porte, and Nairo Quintana would be the favorites this year. In my opinion, the funner, more exciting award is the points classification. This is the green jersey. This typically goes to faster, sprintier, more muscular athletes who are going for winning either points in the middle of a stage or they're going for points by winning an overall stage. Peter Sagan, Mark Cavendish, really sprinty, muscular riders. But the thing about that is because they're sprinty and muscular, they tend not to do well in hilly stages and they just hang on. So it's not to say that they're not good overall riders. They're actually extremely strong riders, the fastest riders out there, but because they're so big, they get dropped a little bit in the hills and they don't typically go for anywhere close to the general classification and the yellow jersey. Polka dot jersey, that's for the king of the mountain. This is for really light, only climbing specific riders like Rafael Micah. People that go for King of the Mountains tend to be fairly close to the overall top of the standing for the general classification, but they lack a little bit in, say, the time trials. The white jersey is for the best young rider. That is the person that is highest up in the ranking, taking the least amount of time to cover all of the stages, but is under 23, I believe. And there's the team classification, that is the least overall time combined, but I think you need a certain amount of riders to finish or you're out. I think it's 6 riders, because you can be disqualified by either crashing out, not being able to finish, or finishing too far back from the person that crosses the line first. And then finally, there's the most combative rider over the course of the tour. That's the rider that has gone out and laid himself out in more stages than anyone else, sacrificed himself for either the team or gone out and attacked and suffered out in the wind. That's where the tour gets really cool. It's all these interpersonal changes and like conflicts and people sacrificing themselves one day so that their teammate can have a chance at winning or a chance at a stage, or people holding themselves back for certain stages because they want to maybe attack the next day. Like, it's all these interpersonal dynamics that make the tour awesome. And one of the neatest parts of just about every stage is the dynamics that go on between the attack group and the peloton. The peloton is the big group that is featuring anywhere from 40 to 100 riders. The lead group is usually a group of 2 to 8 riders that decide around 30 or 40 kilometers that they're gonna attack out the front and try to hold off that peloton, and hopefully that peloton doesn't catch up. What typically happens though is that peloton is kind of biding their time and they're all resting, and then at about 20 or 15K out, they start timing it so that they use that group power to speed up and gradually try to attack and overcome that lead group. Often in the last kilometer, you'll see 2 guys from that attack group that are just hammering it, that have been giving it for like 200K, trying to hold off this swarm of 100 riders coming up in behind them. Really cool, makes for some exciting finishes. Now in that group dynamics is when you start seeing teams surrounding their favorites. Like, you'll see Team Sky that just swarms all around Chris Froome and they envelop him to keep him safe, keep him out of the wind. And you can see that that team will work together to move throughout the group to keep them safe and to keep the best rider on the team shielded. And that team dynamic is really cool when you see domestiques, they're called. They're not good sprinters, they're not good climbers, they're not good time trialists, but they're good overall people. And these are riders that are literally hired basically to murder themselves. They don't have a chance of winning, say, a stage that finishes at a summit at the top of a mountain, but they are hired to go and take the best rider that they can that has the best chance of winning that stage as far up the mountain as they can, so that that rider has a chance of winning and being a little bit fresher at the end. And you will see domestiques go as hard as they can, turn themselves inside out like Jans Voigt used to do, and then blow up, like basically fall off their bike a few kilometers from the finish line because they've worked so hard for their teammate. And then seeing the days that sprinters decide to go in and pick their races and their stages, hang back and just accept that they're gonna get blown off the back of the field in one mountain stage, but they're okay with that because there's a sprint coming up. And these are some of the most badass athletes in the world. The amount of crashes that go on in the tour and people finish with like broken collarbones and fractured limbs, raw behind, and all of a sudden the next day they're patched back up and they're riding in something that we wouldn't ride on for weeks, but they have to do it because their team needs them. Just all around really cool. Watch the tour. It's the best month of the year, hands down. Look at this, look at this. Oh, I didn't want to see, this is today's. I didn't know that he won. I hadn't watched it yet. That was good. That was Peter Sagan. He's good. All right, Trainiacs, go watch some tour. You'll thank me later.